What is up? It's Jan back at it again with another nerdy bookish video. Welcome to day, I don't even remember. Hold on. Day 10 of Vlogmas. Okay, let me pull up the questions for this tag. So this is, I don't even know what it's called. What is this called? But Noelle from Noelle 7 Pages tagged me in it, and it's like the book cocktail tag, like book recommendations based on 11 classic cocktails. I don't know. Okay, so the original was by The Bar and the Bookcase, so gotta give them credit. Basically, there are 11 questions based on different classics. No, what the fuck? Cocktails. Oh my god, cocktails. You have to attach it to a book recommendation. I've prepared. I'm not like, it's not like the Finally Fall book tag where I'm gonna turn around and like pick on the fly. I'm on a time crunch right now because I have plans. So we picked them out in advance. Questions are right here. Hope y'all enjoy. All right, so the first one is old fashioned. Give a historical fiction recommendation. Some of these prompts have one book. A lot of them have multiple books because you know your girl's indecisive. So of course I have The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. I've read this twice. Oh my god, look. It's from back when I was using like my thicker tabs and like putting them out to Pluto and back. Oh, the sky looks so nice right now. I'm sure you've heard of this book. Like, people who are non-readers have heard of this book. People who like just want to get into reading have heard of this book and are usually recommended this book. But this is one of my favorite books of all time. Taylor Jenkins Reid is my favorite author of all time. Read this twice, like I said. I sobbed both times. This is a historical fiction about this 79-year-old Hollywood celebrity who has retired from acting and everything, and then she hires this reporter to tell her entire story about her lovers from the past and uncover all these secrets. There are a bunch of like little twists throughout the book, and then the ending has a big twist, and you find out why she hired this particular reporter when she's like kind of almost at the bottom of the totem pole for this magazine company. So you like wonder why, you know? And then I also have The Nightingale by Kristen Hanna. She cabbed her to like her freaking core though, but I had a good time reading this. Wow, the font looks a lot bigger than I remember. It took me a few days. I own a couple more Kristen Hanna, so now I want to read them. Damn it. So this was set in World War II. It's in Nazi-occupied France. We follow these two sisters, and it just has really good writing and really good lines about like love and life and family and everything. I don't know how else to go into it. I feel like anything about the plot is either like typical historical fiction war things or spoilers. So it's a sad one. I think it made me cry, but I will link the vlog that I read this for down below. It was for my Sad Book Hours series that I have to continue in January. I will, I promise. But it was for Liv's library, and this book made her cry, and I'm pretty sure it made me cry too. I remember vividly reading this on a live show. I think Noelle was on that live show too. I think it was for Read or Dare. Okay. Wow, that was question number 1. Fuck me. Number 2, sidecar. Book with a strong supporting character. Okay, this video is jam-packed with Taylor Jenkins Reid books because I've read them all at this point and I love them all, and I will talk about her every opportunity I can get. I just talked about this in my Finally Fall book tag, but Forever Interrupted by Taylor Jenkins Reid. So this is a story about grief, losing your significant other. You lose them right in the beginning. It made me sob on page 6. I picked this one because her best friend, I have no idea what her name is. I read this in July for my full moon book club pick. I'll link that dedicated reading vlog down below so you could watch me cry at a coffee shop. Yeah, I don't remember the best friend's name, but the best friend of Elsie, our main character, was a great supporting character. She was there for her through it all. She would sleep on her couch without Elsie even asking her to. She would bring her food. She would sacrifice time with her dog. She was just always there for her throughout Elsie's journey grieving. Even when Elsie would like lash out on her, she would understand that it's due to the grief and it's because that's how she's coping, and she's a very understanding best friend. And yeah, that's the only one I could think of. I mean, I'm sure there's a fantasy somewhere where I'm like, oh, a strong supporting character, but that was the first one that came to mind. I probably could have found a more like riveting book. I mean, this was 5 stars, don't get me wrong, but you know, whatever. Why am I apologizing? Like, can we just move on? Prompt number 3 is Manhattan, book set in New York. I immediately thought of City of Girls by Elizabeth Gilbert. It's been a while since I've read this one. Wow, it was pre-tabbing Jan apparently. I did highlight a bunch of stuff, but this is the author of Eat, Pray, Love, if you didn't know. And this is set in New York because that's the prompt. I'm freaking stupid. And it's about the 16-year-old, no, not 16, 19-year-old Vivian. So her parents send her to Manhattan, perfect for this prompt, to live with her eccentric, theatrical theater owner aunt, and she just lives her best life in New York. And like, it's a story about finding yourself, discovering all the nightlife things in New York, and like being on your own and dealing with people who betray you, who lie to you, who treat you disgustingly. A coming of age story, that's the term I was looking for. It goes by super quickly despite the length of the book. This is also historical fiction, so that could go for the first prompt as well. Love this one. That was also 5 stars. Next is Bloody Mary, a book that scared you / messed you up. I got 2 for those two because these 2 books include rat scenes that everyone warned me about. Well, for the Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires, everyone warned me about the rat scene. Cami even gave me page numbers. And honestly though, that was the most exciting part of the book. So I actually kind of appreciated that excitement was there, that like anticipation for good vlog content was there. I'll try to find the vlog that I read this in and link it down below. But I have my reactions to the rat scene. I thought this book was pretty boring, not gonna lie. But the other one is my favorite Grady Hendrix, and that's Horror Store. This is like a parody for working in retail and like an IKEA catalog. Like the format is the most unique format I've ever seen, but this one had a really intense rat scene as well. And I still can vividly visualize that scene in my mind, and that's rare for me to have something so like viscerally able to resurface after not having read this for so long. I read this, oh, did I read? Damn, I think I read this year in January. I gotta sneeze. I've been sneezing. Yo, my allergies have been so bad today because I decorated my mom's Christmas tree yesterday and like the ornaments in the tree were all dusty. So all day today I've been sneezing and it's honestly been painful. Jesus fuck. But yeah, so those 2 messed me up and I didn't even explain why. Jeez, I went like an hour without sneezing. What the fuck? I think it's done. My biggest phobia is rats and mice. I feel like everyone who knows me knows that about me. So yeah, those 2. Forgot this was a recommendations video. Next is an espresso martini, book that kept you reading into the night. I have, obviously, I will take every opportunity that I get to talk about Miss Addie LaRue. Yeah, stayed up till about 2 or 3 a.m. reading this book, finishing it, and crying. So we all know what this is about. We all know how much I'm obsessed with it. We all know it's part of my brand. I have yet to reread this book. I'm gonna be reading it this month, I promise. This month as in December. I'm filming this in November though, because we're trying to be proactive in this household for once. Yeah, so this is the Illumicrate edition. My ex-boyfriend actually got this for me, so LOL. It's so gorgeous. I fucking cannot. I cannot. I'm obsessed. And then also a recent read, You've Reached Sam by Dustin Tao. This is a super quick YA contemporary with a splash of like magical realism type thing. Her significant other dies. It's in the synopsis. And then she like tries calling him and he actually answers, and then you go through her journey of grief. But I stayed up to read this until like 4 a.m. I didn't finish it through the night because I got super distracted by my phone and shit. I highly recommend this. A vlog will be coming soon, or I think it's scheduled to go up before this one, so check that out if you haven't already. It's a dedicated reading vlog. I literally sob on camera, and I was going through it that day too, so it was a whole shit show. Welcome to my life. Next is a Sazerac, book that left you disoriented. Bunny by Mona Awad. So if you don't know what Bunny is about, I don't either. I read this, I believe it was like end of last year. I think it's due for a reread soon, but literally if you've heard about this, you've heard that no one really knows what this is about. Well, okay. So it's about this girl who joins essentially a cult, but it's not explicitly stated really. They're in grad school for this like writing program. So it's like dark academia, but like there's so much random shit that happens that like you literally close the book and you have to stare at the wall and wonder what the hell you just went through for the past whatever pages, 300 pages. I definitely want to reread this. It has humor in it. It also has head explosions, annoying girls who call each other bunny all the time. That's all I'm telling you, because I would go into this blind. Next is Long Island Iced Tea, book that is doing too much. Bonus points if it works anyway. Today, actually, I just finished Sally Rooney's Beautiful World, Where Are You? This was definitely doing too much. It was doing the most. For what? Like, this could have been so much shorter. I think it's trying to be like literary fiction-esque, which is fine. Sally Rooney is a very intelligent author. You can tell, like, there's so much factual information in here within emails between these two women, but it just felt so info dumpy at times. So there were like random facts about like different like prehistoric eras, and then there's like God, and then plastics effects on Earth. And then it like explores grief and depression and loss and love and life and friendship, and then it like has these 4 characters. It just felt very disjointed. That is a good word. I don't think I've ever used that in any of my videos. And it felt like clunky and disorderly. I don't know, maybe I'm just too dumb for it, but it just felt like it was doing too much. But there is like really good humor in it. If you like books with characters who are super cynical and have dry humor, you'd love this book. I did relate to a lot, like I tabbed it because I did relate to a lot of the lines. They talk about relationships and all these different personalities of these characters, but then at the same time, the characters all felt like one person at some points, because their only distinguishing qualities or traits or whatever are their occupations. I feel like I'm gonna say all the same things. Oh, my November wrap-up would have went up before this. I probably said all the same things. Sorry if you're hearing this twice. It was obviously like a character study, in the words of Noelle from Noelle 7 Pages, but then there was also like, it was trying to have conflict and then some sort of plot, and then there were some steamy scenes too. I don't know. I feel like a lot of it was just not enjoyable because it was dragged out and kind of unnecessary. I guess I don't know what she's really doing here. I don't know, maybe it was just meant to be a character study and like seeing these 4 perspectives on the world and their everyday lives and everything. So I have to think this one through, but yeah, this was definitely doing too much for me, in my humble opinion. A Negroni, a book with a love triangle. Another Taylor Jenkins read, y'all. One True Loves. Just based on the title, you could tell there's a love triangle, right? So there's this girl, Emma, who was dating her high school sweetheart, and then he dies. You find that out in the synopsis. Hold on, let me make sure. Yeah, okay, so Jesse, oh my god. His name's Jesse. Jesse goes missing over the Pacific Ocean when he goes on this like business trip. So then Emma finds this other guy. They start hitting it off and everything. Okay, yeah, so this is all in the synopsis. I had to make sure I wasn't spoiling anything. And then Jesse's found and he's actually alive. So then Emma has to pick between the two. You explore like the feelings someone has with people from the past versus this new relationship that you've built without that person that you thought you couldn't live with. So it's very relatable in some senses, and it's very heartbreaking. I don't know, I thought it was really well done. Best love triangle I've ever read, to be honest. My camera's dying. Fuck my life. Okay, camera's charged. Had a little phone call with Jesse, did some freelance work. We are back and we have a couple more questions left. My phone is charging over here, hence the extended arm. The next one is Bay Breeze, a book with light, chill / heartwarming vibes. So again, I have 2 for this one. This one I read like 2 years ago, but it's all the cozy vibes. If you like Gilmore Girls, read this book. Like, it has some conflict and like sadness and whatever. I think it almost made me cry at one point. I gotta reread this, but it's like small town, cozy holiday vibes. The City Baker's Guide to Country Living by Louise Miller. Like I said, it's all the coziness that you can find in a book. There's this girl named Olivia who moved to a small town from a big city, works as a baker at this hotel. She meets all these people in this small town, and you know, like, everybody knows everybody. I just love a good small town book. Even in movies too, I love small towns in movies and shows. I don't know, it's just so nice. And it brings me back to when I lived in a small town for 3 years in Indiana. It's a good time. Everyone's so much nicer in small towns. I just realized I'm not wearing lipstick. How unfortunate. Anyway, there is a trope that I hated, but I looked past it because it made me feel all the feels. Regardless, there's a romance, there are friendships. It's a very quiet book, but you'll feel connected to the characters. It's literally Gilmore Girls in a book. And then I also have Tokyo Ever After by Emiko Jean. This was my first buddy read ever with Jesse. I mention it every time I mention this book, and it's just crazy to me. It's like the book that started it all, you know? So this is basically Princess Diaries, but make it Japanese. I always pitch it that way because that's literally what it is. It's this girl who didn't know she was a princess, and then she moves to Tokyo, lives the princess life, figures it all out, has her little romance. The love interest is like a bad boy cinnamon roll bodyguard situation, and I love it. I love it. This is one of those books that explores themes of not feeling like you belong in one place versus another, like living there wise, because you are of two different cultures. So she's Japanese and American, and she always feels too Japanese for America, and when she went to Tokyo she felt too American. It goes by so quickly. It's just so wholesome and so good. It leaves you rooting for the main character. This book holds a special place in my heart, and I can't wait to read the second one, which comes out next year. I forgot what it's called, Tokyo Dreaming or something like that. Best believe I'm gonna have that in my hands. And the cover is just stunning. I never would have picked this up if Jessie didn't post about it on their Instagram, so we love an influencer best friend, you know? Dark and Stormy. Book that's dark, thrilling, and menacing. Bonus point if the setting matches. This is another book that I will take every opportunity I can get to mention it. The Keeper of Night by Kylie Lee Baker. I just posted a reading vlog where I read this for the majority of the vlog. I will have that linked down below. This is my new favorite fantasy of all time. It's Japanese inspired. There's a lot of folklore and mythology and like legends sprinkled throughout the book. There are Japanese Shinigami, which are essentially reapers. They're British reapers because she lives in London, but she's of Japanese descent. So then she goes to Japan, she goes to the underworld. They like meet the goddess of death, and there's like this main objective that I don't want to spoil, so I don't know if it's in the synopsis. This girl Ren travels to the underworld and stuff with her little brother, and they have like super opposing personalities. Like she's a bad bitch and he's like, I don't want to kill people, but like I have to because I'm a reaper. And then they come across this guy named Hero who like helps them on this little mission that they're on, and there's so much witty banter. The dialogue is perfection in this book. This is a debut novel, and it's so well crafted. There's a lot of vivid imagery. I was able to visualize all these yokai Japanese demons when they obviously don't exist in the real world, and like it sucks you in so quickly too. Like the chapters are so long. For me, they're like 25 pages, and y'all know like I love me a good 3-page chapter. Like chapter lengths are so important to me. When I start a new book, I immediately look at the chapter lengths, but that did not deter me in this case from enjoying the book whatsoever. It went by so quickly. It's over 400 pages. Yeah, I don't know. I never would have picked this up if it weren't a book of the month pick. Maybe not never, but like, you know, if it got enough hype, yeah, because I am easily influenced like everyone here on BookTube. I never heard about this book until Book of the Month had it as a November pick. Also, side note, my Book of the Month referral code is always linked down below, so if you want to sign up for your first month, then use that code down below. Another one I have, because I haven't talked about it in a while, is Mindhunter by John Douglas and Mark Olshaker. So this is the book that got me into true crime. I haven't read true crime in a hot sec. I'm sure y'all have heard of the TV show, but this is the book version. It walks you through John Douglas's experiences as, what's it called? I forgot what his occupation's called. I talked about this book so many times. Serial killer, like investigator, but like a profiler. Yes. So he goes into these cases, pieces together information to create a profile of who the serial killer might be. He, you know, tells you the person's marital status, what kind of car they drive, what they might have been wearing, what their modus operandi is, you know, their MO, what like their patterns of killing are. Yeah, I really want to reread this now. Wow. Or just true crime in general. Ugh, I've been missing it. I don't know. It's just so interesting to me. So yeah, this is definitely dark. It's not for the faint of heart. I don't know why I just said that. That's so cliche to say, but yeah, no, like there are very graphic details in this. He really does go into detail about the people he's interviewed, the cases he's seen, victims he's investigated. Yeah, it's wild, but it's not boring to say the least. And then lastly is a martini, and it's a classic recommendation. So again, I have two for this one. I have The Catcher in the Rye and The Handmaid's Tale. Now, like a lot of classics, I know these two can be problematic depending on how you look at them, but I absolutely love them. The Catcher in the Rye I've read 3 times. I've done so many analysis essays on this book in high school and college. The first time I read it in my sophomore year of high school, I was just like, okay, another book I have to freaking read. And then we analyzed it in college on a deeper level, talked about like the mental health rep and like all the things, like, you know, between the lines, the juxtaposition between the lighthearted, rambly, humorous writing style of, you know, J.D. Salinger in the perspective of Holden Caulfield, the juxtaposition of that versus what Holden has gone through in his life. You know, there's abuse, there's grief, there's loss, there's familial problems, loneliness, depression, anxiety. It's just a lot more than people see at surface level, in my opinion. I don't know. A lot of people have issues with this book. Also, I've heard some problematic things about J.D. Salinger, but he's still an interesting guy to me. I don't know. I'm sorry. I like this book, so I recommend it. And then, yeah, The Handmaid's Tale, love the show. I suggest actually watching the show first, which is rare, you know. The only other time I've said that was for Normal People by Sally Rooney. I recommend watching the show first. But yeah, it's just, I never had an interest in reading this until I watched the show, because the show is phenomenal. There's just action every fucking episode, every scene. Like 10 minutes of that show feels like 30 minutes because there's just so much packed into every single minute of every episode. It's wild. I feel like it'd be a lot more entertaining and more comprehensible. You'd understand it better if you watch the show first, I feel like, in my opinion. At least I did. But also, my brain cells are non-existent sometimes, so, you know, take that with a grain of salt, I guess. But yeah, so this is a dystopian story about this alternate America called Gilead. Handmaids are basically fertile women that they gather into this facility, this like church institution, whatever, in order to breed, basically. And they're not only like slaved away, washing floors, whatever, they're also sex slaves. They're sent to these commanders' houses to have ceremonies, and their sole purpose is breeding. So obviously people try to escape from this world. There's all this drama and action and issues. Margaret Atwood's writing is very, I don't want to say dated, but you know, like it's that classic feel. That's why I say watch the show first. It's a very interesting story. I don't know. It's wild is all I could say about it. The show definitely enhanced my reading experience for this book. And I did read the second one as well, The Testament. I like the first one better. I think that's it for this tag. I guess I have to tag other people, right? I'm trying to think of people who always have like drinks in their hands whenever I'm talking to them. Oh, Renee. Reading with Renee. She always comes home to a glass of wine. I mean, Jesse, if y'all want to do this, go for it. Oh, I tag Rachel from Let Me in the Library. You know what? Whatever. Whoever else wants to do it, consider yourself tagged and let me know if you do it so I could watch your video. Thank you so much for watching. If you made it to the end of this video, put the cocktail emoji down below. Or like the martini emoji. There's a martini emoji, right? Yeah, put that down below. I'm aware in my thumbnail I have a wine glass, okay? I don't own a martini glass. Hope y'all had a great day. Merry everything and happy always, and I'll see y'all in my next one. Bye.